Hi guys, I have something a little bit different from my usual videos today. My subscribers know mostly I do like unboxings on this channel, but if you watch my videos, you also know that I am a pretty big fantasy, science fantasy, comic book fan. I read Captain America comics when I was 10 years old. I actually remember almost no storylines, but I remember loving certain characters. I read both DC and Marvel comics. I love the Marvel movies. I don't think there's one that's not enjoyable, although there's some I like better than other ones. I'm a big fan of the second Thor movie. I seem to be the only one, but I loved it because you can't have too much Loki. I'm going to give you my initial reaction review to Endgame. The first part of this video will have no spoilers, just my feelings about it. Then we're going to have mild spoilers about just general points, general plot points, or general ideas used in the story. And I'll warn you before that comes up if you want to remain completely unspoiled. And then the end of the video will have complete spoilers. You either watch the movie or you don't care about being spoiled. You should care about being spoiled though. So, I usually am one that I'm satisfied to wait till a movie comes out on streaming on Amazon or something. There's only a few movies I'll go to see in the theater, but I had to see this one quickly before I got spoiled. So, I went with great enthusiasm to see Endgame after only watching a few non-spoiler reviews where people were going, yeah, oh my gosh, fantastic. And I was really disappointed. I was really disappointed. There were parts I really liked. I did shed a few tears, but not as much as I would have if the story had been more coherent. I felt like there was a lot of fan service in there. There were a lot of points ticked that would just be for fans. There was a cameo I loved very, very much. We'll get in a little bit more to that later. But there was so much incoherence, or it's not even loose ends. It's just a writhing bowl of gawk. I don't know. There's stuff that just didn't make sense even within a comic book world. I'm a Doctor Who fan. There are things in Doctor Who that make no sense, but they'll usually throw something into the show so that within that world it makes sense. There wasn't even that here. So I found that very disappointing. I think they were trying to do a very character-driven story. And I love character-driven stories, but the characters still have to be driving on a road, on a paved road. And I don't feel like the road was paved at all points in this. So my overall feeling was disappointment. Did I feel like I wasted $10 on the movie? I went to a matinee. It was only $10. No. There were parts I enjoyed. I will watch it again streaming. If my daughter wants somebody to go see it with, her boyfriend does not want to see it, I'm happy to go watch it again. There still isn't a bad Marvel movie. Not a very bad Marvel movie anyway. But I did feel disappointment in how this was wrapped up. Those are my initial reactions. They may change. Now, I'm going to get into some very mild spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled at all, stop this video now and do not read the comment section. Okay. Whenever you do a time travel story, you can be running into some problems. And that's where this ran into problems. It was kind of a bit, I think it's called the bootstrap paradox. They went and changed things in the past to undo what Thanos did. But if you change things in the past, then that future never happened. But if it never happened, did you go back and change it in the past? They did throw a line in to resolve that a little bit, which is, if you go back in the past, that past is then your future. You haven't changed your own future. Okay, I can accept that. But where this story went, there was so much that was changed that would have changed how things unfolded. The only way it can be explained is if there's a lot of alternate timelines that come out of this. I'm not a big fan of alternate timelines as a solution, especially if you're trying to do something heroic to defeat a terrible evil, because you're just saying, well, yeah, but in another timeline, that evil's still there. So it's almost a cop-out to me. I like the idea of parallel universes, but alternate timelines I'm not quite as much a fan of. And I think that was an issue here. Now, As far as the deaths, who died and who didn't die, I'm not going to tell you who right now because we're only in the mild spoiler section. I will say I was surprised by someone not dying who I expected to die. One of the deaths, I was like, okay, I see that and I will cry. I can't say I fully expected it, but I wasn't surprised, and one death shocked me. It shouldn't have. It worked within the story, but it surprised me. So I also will say that there was a lot. The first hour of this was extremely slow, as you're just looking at a lot of people dealing with a post-traumatic stress of not having stopped Thanos. And that's good. I'm glad they did that, but I was going, when's the story going to start? It made it very slow. One particular character, the post-traumatic stress they did with that character was initially very amusing, but the joke got old pretty fast. Where that character ended up, though, I thought was pretty good. So, again, mixed bag, my feeling about the movie. All right, now, should you go see it? Yeah, if you're a fan, I'd say still go see it. But if you're expecting the greatest thing since Wheaties, I don't think you're going to get that. Now, we're going to move on to the absolute spoiler part. Either you've watched the movie or you don't care about being spoiled. So from here on out, we're dealing with everything in the movie. All right, not everything. The time travel situation. So someone tried to explain to me what happened. When they went back in time to get all the stones from a point before Thanos got them. Okay, I've got it there. At one point, they went and met the Ancient One from Doctor Strange, which is really cool. Actually, I love to see some of these characters that have died back again before they died. She warned them that by doing this, they could create an alternate dark timeline. And Banner explained to her, I think it was Banner, that if they return all the stones to the exact point they were before they took them, then it wouldn't make any difference. Everything would unfold as it did unfold. It's just that they would, after the fact, undo Thanos' snap, which was the plan. They would get all the stones, Tony made a new gauntlet, and they would snap people back into existence. That was the plan. However, when they went back in time, everything went pear-shaped. So Thanos ended up coming to them earlier before he found any of the stones and trying to get the glove from them then. And the way he met his demise, does that mean he never did it to begin with? Because he was killed before he could get the stones? But if that happened, then no one was snapped. And if that happened, then they didn't go back to get them. So were a bunch of alternate timelines made? That's the only way I can make sense of it. And if they're using that for further movies, then okay, I can deal with it. But what I saw was a lot of things that made no sense, which usually happens in time travel stories. The joke that got old. This was very funny at first, which was Thor. Thor turning into a fat drunk out of post-traumatic stress disorder and letting Chris Hemsworth play that comedy he plays very well. That worked at first. But it got to the point where I felt like he was playing a different movie than everybody else was playing. So it just didn't quite click for me. It wasn't terrible, and I loved seeing Korg and Meek back. I loved it. I don't know. Where they left him, though, as we now have the Asgardians of the Galaxy, I'm really looking forward to that. Especially since Thor came back unfit and fat, and just the way, remember in the last, in Infinity War, how they were sort of saying how Thor looked like a real man and now he just looks like an old guy with a beer gut. I thought that was amusing, and I'm looking forward to the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie, if Thor's in it, and I hope he is. Nebula. Okay, so Nebula from the past comes forward with Thanos, but she's never met Quill. I'm not sure what happened when Thanos and all his minions were defeated. Did she get blown away in the same thing, or is Quill going to try to find her, but she's not the same Nebula? The Nebula he loved and had adventures with isn't there. So where are they going to go with that? I don't know. The deaths. Okay. I should have realized when two people went to get the soul stone, one of them would have to die. I didn't expect the one that died to be the one that would die. That was a tremendous shock. It makes sense that it would be Black Widow because she had no one except the other Avengers, and they really are Avengers assembled in this, and now they're unassembling. It made sense that it would be her from a storyline point of view, because now Hawkeye can go back to his family now that everyone's unsnapped. Spider-Man. I couldn't quite figure the end scene where he went back to his high school and his friends were still there the same age because everybody was unsnapped 5 years later. Does that mean that his friends from the school were also gone for 5 years and came back? All right. Time travel might work if that's what happened. I guess I'll find out in the next Spider-Man movie. The other deaths. It made sense and was tremendously sad that Tony died the way he did. I guess nothing else could have happened. That this person who started out extremely selfish, making his money off of weapons of mass destruction, ended up saving the world by giving his own life. And he lost the thing he wanted most. At the end, I'll probably tear up saying this, he is hanging on to life past when he should have because he has handled Infinity Stones. Until Pepper tells him, it's okay to go, we will be okay. Oh, that did get me. That was a good ending for Tony. I just wish the rest of the story had made more sense. Now, the person who didn't die, my favorite Avenger of all time, Captain America, since I was 10 years old. I loved Captain America. I expected him to die. His ending was pitch perfect, especially Bucky at the end, because you could tell Bucky knew what he was doing. They were just good enough friends. Either he told Bucky or one glance between them before Captain America went back. He knew what he was going to do. Some people say that Captain America went back and married Peggy, and therefore that has to be an alternate timeline. But no, it doesn't, because Peggy's really good at keeping a secret. She's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. We know she married someone who she never would have met if it hadn't been for Captain America. It was always him. He was always there with her. And I really loved that part. So there were parts I really enjoyed, parts that were, if the Thor stuff should have worked, but it didn't quite work, and then there were parts that made no sense to me. I'm going to go see it again. It might make more sense later. Anyway, those are my initial reactions to it, some of the problems I had with it. If any of that timeline stuff makes sense to you, did maybe they make all these alternate timelines the Ancient One warned them about? They did it anyway because they messed up? Oh, I forgot the most important part. If they did make alternate timelines, then Loki is alive in one of them. That I can forgive just about anything else if Loki survives. I expected his death in Infinity War to have been faked, and it looks like it wasn't. Although, you still can never tell with Loki, right? Anyway, so that's another good part I liked, is giving kind of an out for Loki. So, tell me what you thought of the movie, and am I just being overly critical of the timeline stuff? I just feel like maybe with a few tweaks they could have made it work. But the best part of the whole movie, I just said it was Captain America, right? No, it wasn't. The best part was another Stan Lee cameo. He made a cameo in the last of the movies in this section. And I saw someone else commenting on another video saying they wish the very end had been Stan Lee, like, closing a comic book. Because his last movie was the last in this section of the Marvel Universe stories. And I love that. All right, don't know if this video made any sense, but tell me what you thought about the movies. And I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.